Welcome to Smash Writing. We are back as we continue to march on through our Bond series that we started a decade ago. Or it feels that way.
About 2.5 years ago, probably.
We're getting there.
No, wait till we talk about the animated series.
What? Okay, today we are reviewing the second Pierce Brosnan film, Tomorrow Never Dies, which came out 2 years later. So now we're in 97. Of course, this is Justin's Bond, so without further ado, get us started.
We start with Bond infiltrating a terrorist arms deal. He spots Kupta with an American encoder that can mess with GPS signals and everything. But the Admiral, back at the base with M, makes a mistake by ordering a bombing on the location to destroy everything and all these terrorists, not realizing that there's a nuclear torpedo on site.
Yeah, that's something you just missed.
Yeah. I remember the camera they were looking at was blocked by the truck. Bond saw it, but they didn't see it until the truck moved.
I feel like that's still something you should know prior.
Yeah. Well, they didn't even know that site was there by the sounds of it. But, so Bond has to drop the encoder kind of deal and focus on getting the jet with the torpedoes out. And great chase, great action sequences going through here. And Bond, makes it away, and we kickstart into the intro song and everything. British ship called the Devonshire, I believe it is.
Yeah.
And they're arguing with these Chinese fighter jets. Because, according to the Chinese, they're in their water, so like 11 miles from their shores. So they want the ship to, dock immediately and answer some questions here. But the ship is arguing that, no, we're in international waters. And they think that because the encoder from the Carver building is throwing them off. It ends with the ship, the stealth ship shows up, and it shoots down one of the Chinese fighters, and it shoots down the British ship with this like drill torpedo kind of deal. So they want to steal something, and they want to make it look like the Chinese did it themselves, defending themselves from being attacked from the ship. They kill the one guy, Mr. Stamper, on board the stealth ship. There's no survivors, so anyone who jumped off the boat is immediately shot down.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, we meet our big bad Elliot Carver.
It's just... there's just that scene that keeps just playing in my head, and just...
He runs Tomorrow newspaper, Tomorrow News Industry. He's already got the news article ready to go. British sailors murdered, and it's going to be his big story to kick off his entire media empire, because he's going to be running TV and news and magazines. He's a day away from setting up a network that'll be broadcasting all over the world. Except for China. He has nothing in China. Obviously, they're calling in Bond on this. Obviously. And M is arguing with the Admiral, because the Admiral just wants to send troops in immediately. We've been attacked, we have to take action. And M is arguing, like, no, we can't. There was a mysterious signal we picked up, and it might have been messing with things. And Bond goes, and they wanted this whole story sealed, nothing leaked. Till Bond shows up with the paper and be like, oh, too late for that. It has the exact number of survivors and everything, because of course Carver's the one who knows. They're given 48 hours, and we'll have 48 hours to try to figure out what's going on before the fleet is sent. And once alone, M tells Bond the signal that they picked up was from a Carver satellite. So they're going to send Bond in to figure out what's going on and see if Carver is behind it. But most importantly, they're going to have is Carver's wife, Paris.
Who Bond slept with.
Bond slept with before. He has a relationship with her.
But it was prior to them.
Yeah, she wasn't married yet.
Yeah.
But anyway, they go to the airport, and Q is already there waiting just as a Hertz worker with a phone taser and his new BMW. And the gimmick this month is it can be remote controlled.
However, I do appreciate Q making sure they have all the insurances.
Yeah, all the insurance stuff.
Yeah. Fire, of course.
I think Brosnan and the guy playing Q have got such great chemistry together. They're so much fun talking to each other.
Yeah, like they just like naturally energy just is feeding off of each other.
They bounce off each other perfectly, and Q's no nonsense, and Pierce's like playfulness and jabbing them and everything.
Yeah, like just all the insurances. That gave me a little laugh too, because it was like, what was it? Was fire?
Maybe.
Maybe. It's like, was it a life insurance too? And he's like,
If it comes to it, accidents happen with you all the time.
So it was a good back and forth just off of talking about insurance.
But after he picks up the car and tries out the remote control, it's off to the Carver party. And Wei Lin from Chinese news agency gets Carver's attention, allowing Bond to go talk to Paris a little bit, who starts off the conversation by slapping him in the face. All the while, Koopa is spying on them through the cameras. And Paris very much knows that he was a spy, and he disappeared on her in the middle of the night, as Bond does.
Bond is still Bond.
And she's not... Oh, she'll help him with his cover. She's not helping him with his case here, and pretty much tells him to leave Carver alone. And that's when Carver and Wei Lin arrive, and James very heavily hints at Carver. He knows what Carver's doing. So Carver sends his guards to collect Bond and find out what's going on. The big fight sequence happens in the back. Bond manages to come out on top, cutting the entire power on Carver's big debut speech.
A new sound for the weekly broadcast.
So he escapes, and he goes back to his hotel room, and he just sits in a chair and he waits. He knows someone's going to come after him. He's just waiting for it to happen. And that someone is Paris. But she's not there to attack him. This is a Bond movie. They sleep together. While that's happening, though, Gupta shows Carver the conversation and that Bond is definitely a government agent. So Carver orders a meeting between his wife and the doctor. And despite objections, Paris is going to go back home, but she gives Bond the details of how to enter a top-secret lab that Carver has at the top of his building. And he breaks in and he manages to find the encoder itself, and he runs right into Wei Lin on his way out, who sets off an alarm. And she's definitely not a reporter. But he manages to make an escape, and he's on his way back to his hotel when he gets a phone call from Carver, saying he has two things that he wants back. He wants his encoder and he wants his wife, which are both in Bond's hotel room. So he makes it there in time to find Paris gone and the doctor waiting. Dr. Kaufman. He's going to make it look like it'll be fine. But they can't break into the car to get the encoder. So Bond is able to trick Kaufman into shocking himself with the phone. And down goes Kaufman. And after a spiriting car chase through a parking garage that ends with Bond successfully returning his car to Hertz, he makes off with the encoder. And we meet up with our old friend, Wade, from the first movie. And using the encoder, he's able to find where the Devonshire really did go down. And he halos down to it, warned, don't get caught, you're in Vietnam waters here. He dives down to the ship, and he finds that there was a missile gone and Wei Lin is there. And after they both surface, they're captured by Stamper, who's waiting on Wei Lin's ship. And Wei Lin is a member of Chinese People's External Security Force. They do manage to escape custody, like capture, and they dive over the side of a tower and use a banner to get down. And they make it out, and then they fight over a bike, which I'm going to keep that in. But once they figure out who's going to drive the bike, they're going to do a big bike chase, and they manage to escape. She ditches him at first, but he manages to track her down at the end of her big fight scene. And they decide they're going to come together and do this to save the world, kind of deal. Because they figure that they're going to fire off one of the missiles stolen from the British ship into Beijing, which will launch a war. And Carver will be front and present to tell the whole story, what's going on with the war, media rights and everything.
For 100 years.
Well, that's coming up later. Hold on. And he's working with General Chang of the Chinese to facilitate all of this. But together they're able to figure out where this stealth boat is. They report back to their governments, what's going on, and they set off to stop them on the stealth boat. Unfortunately, Wei Ling is caught first, and she's taken aboard, but it gives Bond time to mess with things on the stealth ship. And while Wei Ling is captured, he tells what this is all about. It is about getting media rights in China for 100 years.
Yeah. 100 years, baby. That's what it's all about. Let's go to World War III. But I got these broadcasting rights for 100 years.
And Bond captures Gupta, and I love that in the middle of Carver's big speech, Bond just shoots another random person. Yeah.
Come on.
But when Carver shoots Gupta, he's like, looks like you needed a backup plan. He's like, I have one. He sets off an explosion, which is now reading the stealth boat on the British radar. And the Chinese tell him, go ahead, he's not in our waters, it's all yours. So the British, while they can't lock on the radar, they start firing at the thing on fire. And now there's a big fight on the stealth boat. Carver gets taken down by the drill. And Stamper gets blown up by the missile and the detonators at the bottom of it, which take out the missile, while Bond is saving Wei Ling from a watery grave. And the movie ends with Bond and Wei Ling choosing not to be saved and instead have an intimate moment on floating debris.
Even proves that Jack could have gotten on that debris in Titanic.
Yes, right here. Here's your proof.
This came out in the same year, too. Damn you, James Cameron. Damn you, James Cameron.
All right, pros and cons.
I felt like, honestly, the pros is that it's continuing the good start that they already had in the previous film. The back and forth chemistry, the one-liners. You didn't... Bond is Bond, like he's going to be the womanizer. You're giving the females a stronger lead now and still being
Michelle
a Bond
Lee
girl.
just being absolute badass. Michelle Yeoh. Oh my goodness.
So you're still taking what you did in the first film and building upon it.
Going back to Michelle for a moment, they give her time to shine in this movie, man. She's just multiple big fight sequences and moments where she's just gunning her way down the stealth boat. She really gets a lot of time. Yeah,
so like I said, it was back and forth entertainment. I don't have no problems with the action scenes. You get Paris as a Bond that's like he's a spy. He's still gonna do his womanizing things, but he's an actual spy. He's good at fighting. He's good at all of that.
I think Carver is years ahead of his time. Because he had moments where he's talking to those other reporters and the people under him, and the guy's like, how's our software doing? Buggy and full of holes. People are going to be buying our shit for years to get rid of. Like that's what's happening today, man. You have a giant media mogul who's twisting the news to fit his narrative. That's all there is today.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You have to go through third parties just to try to okay, which one is the right and which one's the left.
Yeah, you got to do so much just to find the truth there. This is just generally like a good film.
I love the fact that Wade came back because him and Wade does a lot of fun. But Pierce Brosnan plays off of everyone perfectly almost. Just amazing chemistry with everyone between Wade, Michelle Yeoh, Jonathan Pryce. There was great. The big bad chemistry here.
So what would be some cons?
I don't really have one.
Yeah,
I usually like to joke about the 100 years in the China media rights, but that wasn't the end game. The end game was to tell his what he believes is happening through the media. He's controlling what everyone is seeing.
To be honest with you, even if that was the end game, that's not a joke. I mean, China has one of the most populated countries.
Yeah.
The broadcasting rights for 100 years probably would be worth trillions.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know. Maybe I would go to World War III to get that $1 trillion contract. Yeah, I really can't sit there and say a con. These Pierce Brosnan films to this point have been very strong. My final grade overall, I'm still going to give it an A. I think it's still, I haven't seen all of them, of course. I'm going to be interested in seeing the third film because that's kind of where the previous Bonds kind of dropped at. You're
talking about the third one?
yeah, like a third film just seems like the Bond. Well, yeah, we praised Timothy Dalton, but he only had 2 films.
I will say the next one gets a little flack, but I don't agree with it.
Okay.
Well,
What is the next one called?
The world is not enough.
Okay. The World's Not Enough, and that's what we'll pick up on.
Oh, great!
I'm giving it an A.
I'm giving it A plus.
Did we give I gave the first one an A as well, right?
Yeah, I gave the GoldenEye an S.
Okay, yeah.
I think my final grade is going to be an S. Because it's very hard for you to pick between this one and GoldenEye, which one I prefer.
Okay. I said I'm getting more into it. Like I don't have a problem with him as a Bond. The chemistries with amongst all the cast is actually pretty on point and fun and entertaining. You don't get no like head scratching moments. Yeah, I'm making fun of the Hunter thing because it's just funny.
Yeah.
But like I did love that scene with the keyboard, with the Chinese keyboard. Like I was watching it, it's like we were all thinking that. Like as soon as I seen the Chinese, I was like, give it to the Chinese.
Yeah, back to you, Wei.
Like I'll send a message.
I'm sorry I pushed you out of the way.
Like you know what, you send this. So it's a good movie, and I think that's why you've probably seen the video games come, because these movies so far have been really holding its own. I'm giving it an A. Justin's giving it an S. And we'll see what the third film does in the series. Until next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.